Oh, come on.
If,
At least you
if,
were able to talk because in the last episode I was just like and um.
okay. Hey there. Welcome everyone. We're back for another video.
Yep.
And I guess we'll be starting yeah, with continuing from where we left off, I guess, from last time.
But I think
So,
that we'll talk.
yeah.
La- uh, we won't talk too much about our failures this time.
You never
Yep.
know.
Yep. You're right.
Maybe it'll pop up, yeah. But no, this time I guess let's try to keep the conversation kind of grounded up around our thoughts on the gaming industry and yeah, and what kind of games that we want to make. But also, here and there, we'll also definitely talk about our experiences and what we think, what lessons could be learned and retrospectives in a less sophisticated way, though. Yeah. But on a side tangent, actually, I've watched through our videos. That really great editing, by the way, Jean. I think it's nicely
Oh, thank
done.
you.
Um, and I realized how much. I don't know, I guess the way how I talk, I just don't like it too much.
Oh, come on. At least
if,
you were able to
if,
talk because in the last episode I was just like and um. So I really try to improve. I promise, guys. So
I think we all have those kind of those mannerisms. And from mine, like one thing I noticed was the way how I talk. It sounds like a I don't know. It just sounds like a corporate douchebag in a way. Some parts. I'm not even trying to be politically correct. It's just literally me trying to pick up what word. Okay, I guess that is kind of being aware of what I'm trying to say, but it's only because I don't want to make too many bloopers, so it makes the editor's job hard. Okay. uh, oh, by the way, nice tattoo. I didn't
oh,
notice
thank
that.
you. It's
Yeah,
a
it's the NES
SNF
controller.
controller,
Wow.
yes, and I have the economic code
Uh,
here.
oh my god. Okay, he's a true gamer. If you have an economic code tattoo and a SNES tattoo.
Thank you.
That's yeah. I would, yeah, I'm not a tattoo guy, but if I were, that would be my choice
Oh,
too.
maybe
Yeah.
I'm launching a trend or something like that.
Dude, I could just imagine how many chicks you're getting, with those
Oh,
tats.
so many.
uh yeah. This guy knows, his thing. Uh ladies, please, I'm just one person,
Yeah, yeah,
you have to share the
yeah,
controllers if you know
yeah.
what I mean.
That's not. Come on, guys. Come on,
uh,
guys. Leave some room for me, please.
uh, all right. Yeah, that was a fun intro. Then yeah, I guess let's start with the questions
Sure.
first. Like,
I
yeah,
think that
like
you're
from yeah, you
talking
can
too
start.
much, so I'll start with my my own question. Um,
Please do so.
Well, I promised that we wouldn't talk too much about our failures, but I think that's a good question. That we saw the rise of online experience in games, with especially on the pandemic, the Among Us
Yeah.
effect, and all of that stuff, and we started to make our own online game and we fell and we felt the downfall of this trend. So how was to leave it? How was to us as game devs that felt it on our own skins to realize that we were working so many years into a doomed project?
Wow. Yeah, that's a hard hitting question because yeah, and to answer your question, like, how did it feel like for us to go through actually making an online game, and to not go anywhere, which I guess is kind of a trend in this industry where there's a lot of live service projects that doesn't go
Yep.
well. And we I don't want to think that we were trying to be a live studio game, or sorry, live service game, but let's be real. I guess that's like in the end, there is no difference, and the fact that we were trying to make an online game, right? And yeah, it doesn't feel good, obviously, having years and years and like so many zeros in the bank account just being drained. Not a good feeling, but it's also something it's a really good learning experience, albeit very long and expensive one, but still, it's a learning experience that feel like you can't really get anywhere else. To put it in a very bright way, but in a more realistic way, hindsight 2020, it was a dumb fucking decision from my part to even like say like, hey, there's like Among Us is such a simple game, and I'm into P2P networking, so let's try to make some cook up some basic game using Unity, and that's how it kind of started, Among Us, but with a more real time twist, real time action twist to it. And if the vision was clear, and if I had enough like just focus in general, probably the idea itself would have been fine. But I'm only saying this because the idea sounds good in my head. Because everything sounds good in your head until you actually, put it into reality. Even the way how I fucking talk, when whatever I think in my head sounds way better than I put it into my own words, even in writing. But apparently that's the same with games as well. Like even within your creations, it's in your head you tend to really simplify a lot of the nitty gritty details. And even if you were to plan those details, at some point, the reality will never go according to your plan. So if a plan is too detailed, you kind of trap yourself. But at the same time, if it's too broad and just rosy, then you just trap yourself in a bubble.
Mhm.
So I guess the real question is like how to find that balance between live service, like what makes a game fun, engaging, and what is the vision behind the game that we were trying to capture. And I think that's where we kind of failed, with which one specifically as a live service version of it, or online version of it, because oh hey, we don't have experience in like making multiplayer games, let alone a video game, and any like professional mass degree. So but that was also the reason why I wanted to keep it as a P2P simple, self-hosted server kind of game. But then that just adds more technical hurdles into things that really shouldn't be a bottleneck for the development pipeline. And I think that was a huge problem. Like, hey, it has to be an online game, because if we make an offline game, it's going to take us so much time to design everything and balance. Well, okay, balancing is going to be hard, especially in multiplayer game. But designing the levels, the enemy AI, and making the gameplay engaging, it's going to take a too much time. So let's just have a battle arena kind of setup and make it a multiplayer game. That way, much easier, in theory. But of course, in reality, trying to debug and playtest a multiplayer game is just it's just aggravating in like so many ways. And that's I think the biggest problem that we had, and then where I really like should have saw a mile away. Where okay, it's hard to test this, it's hard to validate the game because of whatever excuses we can come up with. But for first and foremost, like it's the fact that it is a multiplayer game for the sake of being a multiplayer game. No other reason than to just because we wanted to cut corners at some parts, we ended up like having to have more overhead in the other side. And yeah, it's like yeah, it's just I guess I just didn't own up to my own mistakes in that regards, and I can imagine other studios, other studios working in live action game or live service video games have this like same conundrum where it feels so it feels like everything could work in theory because humans only work under certain assumptions, or at least like when you plan like anything that involves multiple people, you kind of have to set these assumptions that yeah, people will be engaged, or they, assuming that they can engage with this specific mechanic, or assuming that they play, or assuming that they bring their friends. We can have network effects. We can have like hey, so many great business prospects, yada yada yada. But like, what's the real fun factor that the game is trying to capture? And sure, there are live service specific things that makes video games really fun and engaging. And let's be real, the games that last the longest or that lives the longest are multiplayer games.
Mm-hmm.
And even if offline games, like it has multiplayer aspects to it, and if it's a completely offline game, then there's a big community behind it, which even if it's not directly a multiplayer game, it still is a community bonding experience because people don't just engage with video games, but they also engage with the team behind the games, the people who play the games, and all these different
Mm-hmm.
variables that's involved in it. And trying to think that you can capture all of that into one simple package. I think that's where the fallacy starts. That's just being greedy. You want the best of both worlds of hey, active community, amazing gameplay, and still like it's kind of like having this network effect where everything builds on top of each other. Like no, it's it's that's at some point maybe there's definitely a way to make that serendipitously happen, but uh, at least for us, at least for Team Step, it would have been more rational if I just knew when that testing the multiplayer is more of a hassle than to actually make it. Then it would have things would have turned out differently, and I guess that's why we are changing that
Mm-hmm.
direction. It just took us a long time, but yeah, but I eventually got there, and that's why I also feel quite my sympathies to a lot of the other studios, who went through the same journey, but also they also kind of deserve it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they deserve it, but I also feel bad. Okay, let's
Uh,
put it that
I
way.
think that I resonate a lot with you, and I do agree that it's really difficult to manage a online experience. At least even for this art side, because there are a lot of things that we
Mm,
have to try to predict that the player will
yeah,
do, or how the devs will implement the animation, the new move set and stuff like that, and try to make it modular to not break anything or something like that. And um, at least at my point of view, this kind of experience takes a heavy toll on the game itself. As you
yeah,
said, Among Us is a really simple game per se, but it makes and it has to be simple to work, because the
yeah,
more complex mechanics ideas that you put in your game, when you are dealing with online iteration, it gets way more complex and way more difficult to handle. And I think that that's the reason why Roblox and Fortnite is a so fertile ground for this kind
hmm
of ideas, because people can get that engine with the assets ready and everything ready, and just try to uh, put a new mechanic or a new gameplay idea on that. So uh, I think that's the takeout, that online games are way harder than single player experiences.
yeah. It's hard, but also just it requires a different mindset that I feel like definitely I fell victim to not knowing that, but also quite seeing the same mistakes being made within the industry. Yeah, it's I don't know. But and let's be real. I guess it's like after I think World of Warcraft was like the first major one to really make a digital economy and digital ecosystem work. And after that, everyone kind of yeah they only see like when it succeeds really really hugely. So that's why they only look at those, or at least people want to look at the bright side and go for it. But the cost, the consequences, and the requirements, we were not prepared for it. But now, at least we know, and we are, moving, and we are, pivoting, and I think that's the good thing with which one Crucible, the
Yeah.
newer version of the game, where it's more offline and kind of pivoting back to where we were starting, but I find it much more, yeah, much more engaging and fun, but also realistic to just stay
Yeah.
focused and thank God more easier to test.
And I don't think that we would want to be a live service studio to just try
No,
to uh, gravitate around which one forever and trying to.
no, we don't even have the capacity
Yeah.
to do that. Like the only motivation for the being multiplayer in the first place was in our heads easier. In our heads easier to just have an arena, a sandbox. Hey, let people go crazy. But it's more than that, especially in the development and testing phase. But yeah,
So this was my
I
first
think,
question. I think that we can move to your
yeah,
first
I'll
question.
yes, because I think your answer kind of ties really neatly with my question, which is, um, what's your thoughts on the yeah arts and sorry, artists working in the industry and artworks in the gaming industry.
Oof. Um, well, the gaming industry is always changing, or if it is for trends or for new possibilities. And I think that if you asked me this on uh, 2023, I would be way more scared and concerned about the future, about the uh, artists in the industry. But as I'm seeing right now, I think that AI is not a big problem anymore
Mm-hmm.
for artists because l- let's be real, AI makes shit things, especially for art,
Of
and
course, yeah.
it's just AI just generate a lot of slops and generic things, so people try to avoid uh, using AI for the gaming industry for itself. Of course, we see a lot of AI slot games being sold by smaller amounts, like that hentai puzzle games and stuff like
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But the gaming industry for itself, uh, thank God, was not overthrown by AI. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that the the years to come can be a little easier than I thought that would be, but it is too harsh. It's not easy to land a job on the industry. It's not easy to uh, work for paid projects. So I think that we are gaining some kind of maturity after AI and after COVID, because COVID was
Mm.
another whole plot, because the
Yeah.
industry got a lot of money and it was really easy to work on uh, any project So that was how I worked as a art director, and there was one project that I had something like 12 to 15 artists under my under my umbrella, and it was just crazy. And now the money is gone. So
Mm-hmm.
lot of studios are reducing their staff. Lots of studios are closing, especially the ones that were created on recent production poles like Eastern Europe or even here in Brazil. So I think that we are seeing a lot of changes in a such small
Oh yeah.
time space. And this can be a little daunting, but I think that I'm hopeful for the future. I may be wrong, but I'm trying to keep the optimism here.
That's good. Yeah, and I guess I definitely agree with your point, especially with AI and it because let's be real, we know it's like AI generating art or even just were text content or anything, videos, and even now recently, was it Google? I think like they released the AI generated level
Uh huh.
designing, and like that for funnily enough, like the market reacted in the most funniest way, where they're like, okay, yeah, we're gonna replace all the video game developers. Let's sell our stocks. Like fuck them. It's like wow.
And at the same
Yeah,
time, Google was just saying, "Oh, that's not for gaming."
I'm pretty sure they would want to if they can. Like it's they'll put their hands in whatever they can. It's but they have to be very careful. It's like Google is like the Bill Cosby of IT companies. You know, gotta be he will get you for sure. They will get you. And fuck them. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's I
the
anyway. But what I wanted to say was like AI and artwork, especially. I think that's quite fascinating because yes, on the surface, market will obviously react to the most yeah, and the most like it's a weird it shows a weird dichotomy between the people working in the industry versus people who are invested in the industry.
Mhm.
And I guess I don't I at least I hope that I'm seeing in both sides because I at least for me I'm doing AI related development and research for my PhD project, but because of that, I kind of really hate AI the more I learn about it, and in a very weird way. I mean, it's like I guess it's like anything where the more you know, the lesser the less magical it becomes because you know how it works, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's how I see with AI and also the reaction to using AI as like and AI being incorporated to so much like creative work as a product.
Mhm.
It's just I mean, I guess it's a commodity in a way, but still, just making draining the soul out of shit. That's what a lot of people hate about AI, and I absolutely do agree. But I feel like the perspective or the point is slightly different, where even before AI, we still had asset flip, video games and
Yep.
shovelwares, and people still hate those. And AI just lets asset flippers, their job a little bit easier in theory. Um, but in reality, it's like I feel like it always hits this equilibrium where okay, the easier something gets, there's always going to be more demand for something harder. So yeah, we're gonna have to like match that demand. So like the total effort they have to put into something is always kind of like similar in
Hmm.
the end for what people want. Because people hate lazy things. People hate it when other people become lazy and benefit from becoming lazy.
Uh huh.
It's like so that's why if even with AI generated art, if AI can somehow like read my mind directly and like generate the exact artwork that I want, then okay, maybe AI would be the AI generated artwork would be pretty interesting and that could replace artists. but that assumes that my taste is good, first of all. You know, which is probably not. But secondly, there's also this barrier of like trying to express what you want because AI cannot, uh, uh, it cannot accurately understand what you really mean because words are such a human concept, and language models are literally designed to like add this inefficiency to computer inferences so that it can be more compatible with human language. And I, you know, that alone, sure, it's like an amazing technology. But even if AI generated artwork is going to, you know, be actually incorporated in a video game, you have to put some effort into it. You have to like edit, make edits. You have to like know how to change certain things in order to actually make it closer to your vision of how a video, how the project would, you know, you want it to look like. And to be frank, humans are way easier. Yeah, and yeah, probably more affordable. But I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But you know, yeah. At some point, AIs are more expensive than humans, so we just have to use humans instead. And then we let the AI
Who
like
would
just, you know,
know
manage
if
us
we
instead.
tried to suppress something that we already have for something that we are trying to emulate would be costlier
Yeah.
than what we already have, right?
Yeah. Oh yes. Yeah. And also, like, value is really, you know, it's a relative thing because we value the things that we know it took a lot of effort
Yeah,
in. Because it touches our soul in a way, I think, and that's what. If even if you make something with AI, if you know, if you had a clear vision and you went through the extra effort to, you know, adjust the final output so that it is closer to your vision and that vision is conveyed to the consumer, which is, you know, the player and in a more generic sense like the general public, then that vision is going to be understood one way or another. You just have to put in the effort to, you know, convey that vision, you know, as much as possible. And yeah, people when they get lazy and complacent, that, or if they don't have a vision and they don't have tastes, then yes, AI is probably like the best way. Hence, explains why the investors, you know, in the market reacted that way because if they had vision and taste, I don't think they would be doing investment probably. Actually, well, I guess they would still be doing it, but they wouldn't. They wouldn't be 24 hours on their display. Let's say.
yeah, and as you said about the cost and how it's relative, um, I see a lot of these on art because
Hmm.
every artist has these pieces where you are trying to flexing your your artist skills for other people. Like you're, oh, I'm making these so realistic and so and sometimes the sketch that you make just for fun will give you
Yeah.
much more applause and people will get way more interested in that than your the artwork that you expended so many hours and so many effort on that.
Yeah.
And I think that says a little about the video game industry too, because we have our the triple A industry with uh, big budgets and even bigger revenues and uh, studios with more than 100 people and studio having to contract another studio to make more assets and stuff like that. And in the other side, we have the indie and small games that sometimes will take over the world, just like Undertale,
Yeah.
just like Stardew Valley. For for God's sake, it's
We have so many
yeah,
examples. Yeah, with that.
exactly. That
Yeah.
are games that were made with way less people with the budget of two Choquitos and one medium Coke, and and those games are just awesome. Uh,
Yep.
so I think that this is the kind of thing that it's difficult to replace just with a new technique. a new technique advance like AI or something like that, because people like things that touch them. Uh, if you see something
in a
that, yeah,
in an appropriate
yeah,
way,
yeah, in
yeah,
the
not in
purpose,
an
not
inappropriate
in
way.
the Bill Cosby way. Uh,
Yeah.
like you see something, it's just like when you go to a art museum and you see someone just crying in front of a piece. That's the kind of thing that video games can do. Uh, Everybody has a story that was trying to play a game, but the vision was too blurry with tears
Yeah.
to continue. So I think that that's the kind of thing that video games are strong for. Uh, the
Hmm.
this kind of artistry, and I'm not trying to, video games are art and blah blah blah. No, it's more like a video games art. All of these are culture movements, just like movies, just like
Yes.
music, just like books. So I think that's my takeaway about AI in video games, that we won't see, at least in the near future, at least on my point of view, that we won't see this kind of reaction into a game that was heavily based on AI assets, on AI ideas, AI's
Hmm.
generated any kind of bullshit that we can see.
Yeah, and even with AI, like I don't see it being any different than like how we see the typical asset flip games. You know, it's always going to be there. People who see an opportunity to get in there, they will, and I don't really blame them too much for that. Like if it works, that's fine because but it's just I just feel like it's bad for them, like in a way where it's like, and I guess whatever works, first of all, like whatever works
If
for
it
them and
works,
the
it
industry.
works, right?
Yeah, yeah. If it works, like we vote with our wallets, sure. And worst case scenario, we get a really good YouTube, drama video about it. Some studio is suing another YouTuber for like giving them bad reviews, or like us making the video. uh, yeah, but when I guess you pointed out like the one of the reasons like I love the gaming industry so much, but also how I envision like video games as a whole, like, or just the art industry in general, creative industry, because it's one of the few industry that's out there where it's a luxury, like it's not a necessity, right? And yet it also is it never goes away. Like it's timeless in a way. Either the art form itself, or even like the art itself. Like the form or the content that you consume. It could be timeless, or it is like a time capsule that captures its time, and it's something that you don't really see in any other industries. And because of this, like it looking at it just in a both like business sense, but even at a creative sense, it's hard to have it's hard, video games specifically, it's hard to have this good balance of how far should we like be so creative and go crazy with what we want to do, because traditionally speaking, like traditional artwork, what we consider as like traditional art medium, are could be made by a single person, or like over time it becomes adapted by multiple people, and it's like a very different. But whereas in video games, like, okay, movies, a lot of people involved, but that's why it's expensive, and that's why you can't just it's so rare to have like a really artistic movie that is both good and successful at the same time. um, Video games, it kind of, at least at once now, the market's going into a different direction, but at once it really did hit this fine spot where AAA studios made shit that's like actually really good, inspiring, genre defining, and they still do it in some of the ones. But also we saw how it goes when they are so complacent with that and becomes uninspired, And at a as a in a corporate perspective, sure, like if you want to hedge against your risk, relying on your entire studio's success on like just one person's creative or ADHD driven vision working is maybe not the best business model. And that's why, like, for example, like Kojima and Konami, uh, like as much as I fucking love Kojima's work, like I can understand Konami's perspective. Having said that, Konami is fucking evil as hell. So, like they went a bit too far. So okay, like two different extremes where it's like uh, very fucked up. But still, I can I can sort of rationalize why, and that's something that I guess I video game is for me like the safe haven of hey, I could still being creative, being freedom, or expressing your freedom, or expressing something to others is like a cherished thing. It's not like trying to fit in, but it is like even if you are trying to fit in, you have to fit in a way that touches the people in the right ways, right? Yeah, I think that's probably my frustration with which one and Team Step, like where it became because that was the motivation, and then team size got bigger, became more needlessly needlessly corporate. Even though there is no corporate, it's not like we have a product or anything. It's like why do we have to corporate? Like, but when there are more people, I just feel like okay, there's more people, so it's no longer just my thing. It's like everyone has. I feel like everyone has to be there, but that doesn't have to be always the case. It's just when it fits, then you bring the people who wants, and if it's not really, if they don't have a specific opinion, then you don't have to force that because that's not the whole point. The whole point is, uh, yeah, like being able to express what you really want to do. And I, at some point with which one, I just lost that
And I think
perspective.
that we fell in the trap that's easy to fall is that oh, I'm not our studio is not being able to deliver the amount of codes or amount of art that we need, so we have to bring more people in when
Yeah.
when the what I see now is that it's more important for us to try to give a step back and think why we are not delivering it. So
Oh yeah.
to try to change the mindset instead of just trying to get bigger, to try to get I don't like this idea to be more efficient, but try to understand more of the context that we have in our studio, in our company, and try to solve it with what we already have. And then, if we can't, we try to bring someone in.
Oh, absolutely. And actually, I would also like paraphrase that as to say that we don't think too hard about yeah, don't think too hard about shit. Like, just don't think too hard
Yeah.
about anything. That is really just a very big me problem. I tend to overthink almost everything. And to be fair, in my defense, I was in an industry where overthinking was generally like, yeah, it was like overthinking was the name of the job. But I I came to the gaming industry so I can avoid that, and yet I'm like bringing that baggage with me into the gaming industry. So of course it's not gonna fucking work. And overthinking is such a big problem because yeah, with what you said, like with which one at some point I was, my frustration was okay. I wanted to express this, the vision that we had. I want to make the game playable, and I want to see people play. I want to, I want to be criticized for it. Anything, just any feedback, so that I don't feel like I'm shouting to the void. That was a sensation that I was just so gravitating towards. But if I know that multiplayer games are just not, it won't work in terms of both testing. Yeah, okay, like going to actual like releasing and whatever. Hypothetically, we can talk about anything, but we know that we don't have enough budget for any marketing, flashy marketing. I guess technically we could have, but no, not the right way to spend money. Let's say when yeah, not the finances were not good in the in the team, but it's also my problem because yeah, I feel like when we know that it's not going to work at that point, or if I know that it's not working, it's not going to happen, um, try it 3 times, then don't overthink about how to make it work, but just change it to like, okay, then what works? Just what works. Like I was just so fixated in how to make it work that I kind of forgot and put myself into trap because yeah, objectively speaking, like what I was trying to do in the early phases of the project, it was early enough to think that there was early enough to be naive and optimistic, but still uh, grounded in reality to say that it could these could be the positive negative outcomes, but if things doesn't work out the way it doesn't, just move on to something else that
Mhm.
works. Don't get too fixated in one thing and don't force it to don't think about how to make it work unless you tried other things to justify enough to justify and convince everyone that this is the only way. And I feel like that I took the other way around, where I have to first try everything to make it work, and then I'll do something else. And no, I feel like that's not how it should work. So this, yeah, actually, I think this is a good lesson. Okay, I won't say lesson, but like what we think really worked. For actually, I can't even say if it worked because we haven't really made it work yet. But something that people should know. Yeah, people should know
Mhm.
that don't overthink it. Don't hesitate moving to something else if it doesn't work or if you feel like it's not going to work.
Well, Jean from the future here. I was editing the video and it came up way too long again. So we'll have a part two. Stay tuned and give us a like and subscribe. See ya.